Hey everybody! Here's another installment of interesting newspaper stories. This has become one of the funnest parts of researching through these old newspapers. There's usually a lot of interesting stories, but I just try to pick some of the most interesting stories for these videos. So let's get going on this episode of Antique Bottle Stories. So I'm going to go chronologically like I usually do. So we're going to start things off with 1844. Cupus's Constitution horse balls. It says these balls are recommended in all cases for horses with swelled legs, cracked heels, loss of appetite and vital energy, coughs, colds, and fever. So it ends up being just like this ball of nutrition. So it just cracks me up, the wording of this though. Any gentleman using the balls may consult the proprietor by letter. And then here's a little snippet of a letter. Sir, I have been using your Constitution balls for the last season. And it goes on to say, I strongly recommend your balls to all gentlemen. Alright guys, I'm just being immature right now. Let's move on. Here's 1857, North Carolina. Apparently, Chinese sugarcane makes its way onto the scene in America. I found lots of publications regarding this subject. Now, I'm not really able to find out which sugarcane we grow now. I'd imagine it's some kind of hybrid, modified version of whatever it used to be. I wonder if there's any unaltered version of sugarcane out there somewhere. Now this is interesting. 1857. This guy's wife is in bad health and he's looking to sell his 365 acres of land, which has corn, wheat, oats, and tobacco, and has a great water source. He's asking $7,000, which he wants half cash and the other half paid in 12 months payments with no interest. First of all, that's about $19 an acre. Not to mention it's full of crops. Dang, but that's gotta be a heavy chunk of change for 1857. Moving on to 1858. 5 prisoners escaped the jail Monday night. Mr. Alex High, the jailer, said that they had been trying to break through the door, damaging the lock. After that, they were placed in the dungeon for greater security. I wonder what that looked like. And it says the dungeon proved to be less secure than the original room they were in. It says they ripped off one of the iron bars from the narrow window of the cell and used that bar to loosen a large stone next to the window. Lifting the stone out, they created a hole large enough to squiggle out of there. And this article gives their names and their offenses. Robert Morris was in for kidnapping a Negro and other minor offenses. His arms are tattooed with anchors in blue ink, and his back is scarred from recent whippings. Jon Stewart is 18 or 20 years old, and he was in for robbing the mail, like the post office mail. Robert Sadler is in for burglary. He had served some time before for the same thing. Wesley Mills was in for stealing money. Ransom Smith was in under a peace warrant, which I had to go look up what that meant, and it means that a justice of the peace had issued a warrant for his arrest. The article says that they had been checked on about an hour before the escape and everybody was fine. They said they had escaped without making a sound. They're offering $100 reward for their arrest. Now this one's nice. This one's a pick-me-up. 1865. It's a letter written from one man to a friend who was wishing some good luck would make him rich. He says, "But I am rich. I've got a boy whose eyes sparkle like jewels, and whose smiles are purely angelic, and there's so much heaven in his face that when I see him, I'm out of the ills of this life. I am rich. I witness scenes in the world affairs that make me humble, make me thoughtful, make me thankful, make me charitable, make me peaceful." He continues, "I am rich. I watch the struggle for gold in California, the lives sacrificed, the desperate reaching for that gold which it worships in the rays of the setting sun, and I'm happy that the current has not borne me thither." He continues with different examples, but he ends the letter by saying, "You see that I write to show you that the sun shines here, and that it is not such a serious thing to live, and taking all in all, this world is about what it was intended to be. I just like that he made me pause and think how blessed I am in this crazy, crazy world. So moving on to 1910. This is just a cool ad in the city directory for carriage repairers. It just caught my eye. Sometimes I feel like I was born in the wrong time. Like, this is my time, you know what I mean? Does anybody else feel that way? 1912. Harry West was robbed of his purse containing $15. He's convinced that a stranger who was sitting in the seat next to him was the one who went through his pockets and took his purse. 1915. Gray hair makes you look old. Look younger by darkening your hair with some Cuban. No dyes. It says if you have thin, wispy gray hair, you could look 12 to 15 years younger by shampooing your hair with Cuban Hair Color Restorer. It turns your gray hair into beautiful, lustrous, soft, dark hair. It even stops dandruff. 1916, another hair one. Every woman should study her face, forehead, ears, and the set of her head on her shoulders. Then she should dress her hair to hide any unattractive features and accentuate the well-formed, attractive features. It talks about how some foreheads look better covered, others look better showing. If your ears are not beautifully shaped, then the hair should be brought over them by all means. The eyes are particularly affected by the manner of combing the hair. Whether or not to have bangs or parting the hair has great influence on the eyes. And the nose, there are so many shapes and sizes. Basically, you want to avoid accentuating the length of a large nose or the smallness of a small nose. Remember, the profile should be one of the woman's greatest attractions. A well-shaped head makes the art of hairdressing much less difficult than that of a person with a poorly shaped head. Yes, it actually says that. But with the right puffs, braids, knots, and swirls, the hair can make any woman's head appear of classic shape. You can always count on 1916 to tell it like it is. 1918. Charles Marino, 37, was crushed to death 11 o'clock this morning. He and Michael Bettino, 36, were working on a car of frozen coal when they both slipped and fell into the hopper. Marino was buried beneath half a car of frozen anthracite. The other dude suffered some scratches. Marino was dug out and taken to the hospital, but life had already expired. Also in 1918, World War I. Here's a 3-part series for men between 31 and 45 to train for the Army examination and camp training. This series was put together by Walter Christie, a head coach at University of California, who was in charge of training exercises of over 1,000 young men to prepare them for the Army. 1920. Tea wagons were a regular part of the household. I wonder when they stopped being popular. Well, a brand new one here would cost you anywhere from $28 to $44 in 1920. Now we're up to London, 1935. Get your asthma cigarettes. Do you ever get attacks of asthma or bronchitis? Potter's asthma cigarettes may be smoked at any time and you will at once get relief. A perfectly safe and sure remedy which enables sufferers to carry on their usual occupation and amusements. Tens of thousands endorse this claim. And the last one for today is this 1940 Peggy Prince, a 22-year-old English girl. She paddled into the North Sea with a canoe to rescue a British pilot shot down by the Nazis. She brought him home safely after a 6-mile battle with the waves. Well, that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed these stories, and we will see you on the next one. Have a wonderful day. Thanks for watching.